Let's start with a brand name, one you can trust, Coinbase. It's a strong one. It feels connected without over-egging that crypto connection, a place to call home and an entry point. And that's Coinbase. It's the safe, muggle-friendly interface between the great unwashed and the badlands over there. Onramp, offramp, coin pamp, lamp, wick, damp prick. Man, what is this shit when the market goes south and the off-ramp goes down with panicked cramps? Coinbase, blue logo, the happy color, the safe color. But when we talk of the blues, it's about suffering, conflict, and pain. And seen through that filter, Coinbase right now has the blues. SEC investigations, layoffs, tanking stock, a rainbow of FUD. Is it a dud? Should we throw mud? Should we coulda, woulda, cows choose the cud and make sense of the world just like me, armed with a cloth to polish Brian's scalp? This is the Defiant. Would you like to earn higher yield in a safe and sustainable manner? Well, check out Unipilot, a Uniswap v3 liquidity optimizer which keeps your capital concentrated around the current trading price at all times, so you earn higher returns and save on gas. Yield is sustainably derived from liquidity provider fees with APR for numerous vaults in the triple digits. Put your liquidity on autopilot today to earn higher rewards at unipilot.io. When you shop for plane tickets, you probably use Kayak, Expedia, or Google Flights. So why would you limit yourself to just one exchange when you trade crypto? To make sure you're getting the best possible price, you should use a DEX aggregator like Matcha. Matcha routes your orders across all the various DeFi exchanges on Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, BSC, Phantom, CeeLo, and Optimism to provide the best possible prices without taking any commissions. Matcha has integrated fiat on-ramps so you can buy directly with your credit or debit card and uses smart order routing that splits your order across multiple liquidity sources. With Matcha, you can make limit orders on chain so you can set and forget your DeFi trades, and now Matcha even offers gasless trading. Head over to matcha.xyz/Defiant and connect your wallet to start smarter with Matcha. Computer, turn on crypto YouTuber mode. Let's educate people. Alp, let's go. Coinbase is a well-known cryptocurrency exchange that makes it easy to buy, sell, and exchange cryptocurrency. Coinbase makes buying Bitcoin as easy as buying a stock through an online brokerage. But look out for the fees and poor customer service. That, if you didn't know, was the Investopedia review on Coinbase. It is a brand that is front of mind for interactions with crypto. And while we're here, let's fill our fact holes full of stats pegs. Does that work? Not really. Coinbase revenue in 2016. Check, $16 million. 2017, $927 million. But then the bear market happens and shitty numbers happen. But then 2020 happens. $1.14 billion. And then Q4 alone in 2021, $2.2 billion in revenue from transaction fees alone on Coinbase. But that was February. Things are very, very different now. Post-Doe, post-Arrows, post-Malone.
You probably think that you are better now, better now.
Now, going public is no small undertaking. The scrutiny that accompanies an IPO should ensure that any entity submitting itself to this baptism of fire and comes through blessed by the SEC should, and I do mean should, be good to go. Although Coinbase, well, it didn't actually IPO, that was what they call a direct listing. And that distinction is kind of important because Coinbase wasn't issuing new shares, therefore they weren't raising capital, merely selling existing shares on the market, which circumvented the need for investment banks to get involved with all their expenses and letting the market determine what their true value was. And yet, here we are, now. Cathie Wood, not so keen anymore. And these are the headlines around Coinbase right now. The SEC taking Coinbase employees to court for insider trading. Coinbase, the San Francisco-based exchange, under fire and under scrutiny in a regulatory environment of fear following the collapse of Terra. Ishan Wahi, Nakil Wahi, and Samir Rahmani are the defendants named in a suit accusing them of repeatedly tipping material non-public information about the timing and content of Coinbase's listing announcements. Insider trading. Now, before we get really outraged about all of this, there's a bit of history that's important here. Coinbase, believe it or not, has been extremely reticent about listing, well, pretty much anything over the years. Back in 2017, Coinbase listed Bitcoin, Ethereum. That was pretty much it, and yet it was still the place for newcomers to dip their toes in crypto. It was the safe place to get in. When Litecoin was listed back in 2017, it was the most enormous endorsement for the token because nobody got listed on Coinbase. Getting on Coinbase meant being front row for the uninitiated. Their first point of contact with crypto, reserved for Bitcoin and then Ethereum, which is why it makes it so odd that an entity we always associated with being deeply conservative, deeply reticent to list anything, is now under investigation. In the way that perhaps we might think of Bittrex or Poloniex or any of those exchanges like that. And that's because Coinbase relaxed its rules about what could and what would be listed, and in so doing, made itself a target. September 8th, 2021, Paul Grewal, Chief Legal Officer at Coinbase, writes a blog about the company's stillborn lending program called Coinbase Lend. The SEC posted notice it intended to sue, and despite Coinbase allegedly engaging with the SEC about the proposed lending program, it capitulated. Now, viewed from deep into 2022 and the collapse of not one, not two, but pretty much all of the centralized lending platforms, maybe in that moment, Coinbase actually dodged a bullet. But what looked like regulatory heavy-handedness might have been a preemptive mercy. Except, of course, that's not the case. The SEC appears to have a real thing for Coinbase, a bee in its bonnet. But let's add more jeopardy. Let's add insider trading. Oh, but let's also add unregistered securities too. And that's the great ghostly menace that threatens to undermine every cryptocurrency, like Ripple, for instance. Was it a security? Was it sold as an unregistered security? Now, EOS, well, they settled. Ripple, however, are still fighting. But for smaller tokens like AMP, Rally, Rari, LCX, Power Ledger, and a few others, I'm afraid you are now tarnished as securities. At least that's the word right now. So designating a crypto asset as a security massively impacts the value of that token in a deeply profound way, because the thing is, crypto feeds off retail FOMO. If retail thinks something is a security, it's just going to run away because retail isn't cleared to buy securities. Gary Gensler famously considers only Bitcoin to be a commodity, leaving the way clear for literally everything else, and I mean everything else, including Ethereum, to be potentially viewed as a security with all of the limitations attached. Now, those limitations are there for a reason, and they're not necessarily a bad thing, but they are restrictive, and crypto is all about not being restrictive. There are two sides to every story, of course, and Coinbase has a case to feel aggrieved here. Paul Grewal, remember him, responded to the claims in a blog post that pulled very few punches. I'm happy to say it again and again. We are confident that our rigorous diligence process, a process the SEC has already reviewed, keeps securities off our platform, and we look forward to engaging with the SEC on the matter. They're accusing the SEC of double standards and of using the Coinbase as a punch bag for a headline that matters to the SEC. Tilde, Coinbase does not list securities on its platform, period. But what is a security? That's not clear. So in that post, Paul argues that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, reviewed the same facts as the SEC and chose not to file securities fraud charges against those involved. But it doesn't say, well, they were looking at them as potential security fraud charges, which, again, like, what's going on here? They also cited CFTC Commissioner Caroline Pham, who stated this was a striking example of regulation by enforcement by the SEC. So there is no regulation for this stuff. Let's just set a precedent and then we're good to go. They say we cooperated with the SEC's investigation into the wrongdoing charged by the DOJ today. They claim, but instead of having a dialogue with us about the 7 assets on our platform, the SEC jumped directly to litigation. This is pretty classic SEC, actually. Just sue hard, and in the settlement, we figure out what this is actually going to be. So while Coinbase might have dodged a bullet when its lending product was ixnayed by the SEC last year, it didn't prevent them from being horribly impacted by the macro downturn. In June, Coinbase laid off around 18% of its workforce, which by any measure, well, it's a lot. Hiring qualified and high-quality personnel is extremely difficult during a bull market, and it looks like Coinbase might have been compelled to over-offer to attract the caliber of staff they needed to meet the needs of a bull market. But those conditions, as we know, are so ephemeral that offering high salaries like that quickly looks foolish, and so here we are. As much as it's facile and fun to dunk on Coinbase for bad projections and bad human resources, I don't think any of us can really judge this unless we've been in the hiring process at a crypto company through 2020 and 2021. I wasn't. Were you? And that brings us finally to the ill-fated Coinbase NFT marketplace. "3 months in, Coinbase NFT has been a disaster," was the headline. Since launching on April the 20th, the NFT marketplace has done about $37,000 in average daily trading volume, or about 2,000 times less than OpenSea. Over the same period, Coinbase NFT has attracted only about 8,668 users in total. Now, the whole thing about Coinbase NFT was it was supposed to open up NFTs to retail. The retail that weren't interested in NFTs because they were too out there. That simply hasn't happened. But let's compare that with GameStop, that brought the COVID retail crowd in and immediately outperformed Coinbase in just 2 days. And you have to wonder, what is going on? What did Coinbase do wrong? Because NFTs are still, and have been still, a really interesting retail mechanism for getting into crypto. And then finally, they released the first part of the Degen Trilogy, which feels like it should have been made in 2019, but instead drops deep in the third wave of a painful bear market phase. And you wonder how badly out of touch are Coinbase, really, genuinely. Drop your comments in the comments section of this video. Comment. The truth is, crypto market cycles are so self-defeating and impossible to navigate fairly that all your growth hacking maneuvers and tactics, they won't work, not long term. And that's where Coinbase is right now, at the mercy of the market. When it's boom time, great. Then what follows is layoffs and apologies and, oh, it's all the market's fault. Anyone with a brain who's been through these cycles already knows that you have to plan for this shit. You have to make the market, Bitcoin, altcoins, either planned in or a redundant force in your projections. But sadly, there seem to be very few brains to share around. Everyone just gets caught up in the hype of it all. And on that depressing note, it's time to end. Stay woke, y'all. This was the Defiant. The truth is, crypto market cycles are so self-defeating and impossible to navigate fairly that all your growth hacking...
Actually, 1 second, let's cut. The light went off.
Please let it end. So done.